Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something raw, something most people don't want to hear. You are not stuck. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are one decision away from a completely different life. Just one. Not 10 years, not a perfect plan, not permission from your family, your friends, or society. One decision. The decision to stop making excuses. The decision to stop waiting. The decision to finally take control. Because here's the truth, nobody is coming to save you. Not your boss, not your friends, not luck, it's you. And the moment you understand that, everything changes. We spend so much time overthinking. Let me answer that for you. You're never fully ready. But you don't need to be ready, you just need to start. See, the difference between people who win and people who stay stuck is simple. They act. They don't wait for perfect timing. They don't wait for confidence. They move, and they figure it out along the way. And yeah, you might fail. Actually, you will fail. But failure is not the problem. Staying the same is. Every single day you delay that one decision, you are choosing the life you complain about. Think about that. You say you want more, but your actions say you're comfortable where you are. That's the gap. And that gap, that's where dreams die. But here's the beautiful part, you can close that gap today, right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Decide to wake up earlier, decide to work harder, decide to learn that skill, decide to take that risk. Because your future is not built on what you think, it's built on what you do. And let me remind you, time is not waiting. Every second you hesitate, someone else is taking action. Someone else is building. Someone else is improving. Someone else is becoming who you wish to be. So ask yourself, most people think life changes slowly, step by step, in some long, predictable process. But in reality, life can shift in a single moment. The moment you make a clear, firm decision. A decision is powerful because it draws a line between who you were and who you choose to become. It's not about wishing, hoping, or talking. It's about committing. The second you decide, I'm done living like this, or I'm going to chase something bigger, your direction changes instantly, even if your results haven't caught up yet. The reason one decision matters so much is because it controls your actions. And your actions shape your outcomes. For example, deciding to take your goals seriously means you start using your time differently. You stop wasting hours scrolling. You begin learning, working, improving. The decision itself may seem small, but it triggers a chain reaction that impacts every part of your life. Over time, those small actions stack up and create massive change. Many people stay stuck not because they lack ability, but because they avoid making a real decision. They stay in a maybe mindset. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Maybe I'll try later. Maybe it's not the right time. That hesitation keeps them exactly where they are. A true decision removes that uncertainty. It creates clarity and urgency. When you decide, there's no backup plan, no excuses, just action. Another important part is that decisions often require discomfort. Choosing a new path means letting go of old habits, facing fear, and stepping into the unknown. That's why people delay it. But growth never comes from comfort. The moment you decide to do what's hard instead of what's easy, you separate yourself from the majority. That's where real change begins. Also, a decision is not about perfection. It doesn't guarantee immediate success. What it guarantees is movement. And movement is everything. Even if you make mistakes, you're still learning, still progressing. Without that initial decision, nothing happens at all. You remain in the same place with the same problems, the same frustrations. It's also important to understand that one decision can redefine your identity. When you decide to become disciplined, focused, or committed, you start seeing yourself differently. And the way you see yourself influences how you behave. That internal shift is often more powerful than any external change because it affects everything you do moving forward. In the end, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is often just one bold choice. Not 100 steps, not years of planning, just one moment where you stop hesitating and start acting. Most people spend a huge part of their lives blaming something or someone else for where they are. They blame their background, their family, their lack of money, their country, their boss, or even bad luck. And while some of those challenges are real, staying in a blaming mindset keeps you powerless. The moment you shift from blaming to owning, everything starts to change. Taking ownership means accepting that your life is the result of your choices, your habits, and your actions. It doesn't mean everything that happened to you is your fault, but it does mean your response to it is your responsibility. That's a powerful shift, because when you own your situation, you also take control of your future. You stop waiting for things to improve and start making them improve. Blame is comfortable. It protects your ego. It gives you an excuse to stay where you are without feeling responsible. But comfort is the enemy of growth. When you say, it's not my fault, you also say, there's nothing I can do. And that's a dangerous place to live, because it removes your ability to change anything. Ownership, on the other hand, is uncomfortable at first. It forces you to look at your habits, your discipline, your effort, and your mindset. It makes you ask hard questions like, am I really doing my best? Am I using my time wisely? Am I consistent? Those questions can be tough, but they are necessary if you want to grow. When you start owning everything, you begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Instead of saying, I don't have resources, you think, how can I use what I have? Instead of saying, I don't have time, you ask, where am I wasting time? That shift in thinking opens doors that were always there but hidden behind excuses. Another important part of ownership is consistency. It's easy to take responsibility for one day or 1 week, but real change happens when you keep showing up even when it's hard. Ownership means you don't quit when things get difficult. You don't look for someone else to fix your problems. You stay in control no matter what. It also builds confidence. When you take responsibility and see results, even small ones, you start trusting yourself more. You realize that you are capable of creating change. That confidence becomes fuel, pushing you to aim higher and do more. At the end of the day, blaming keeps you stuck in the past, while ownership pushes you toward the future. One keeps you weak, the other makes you strong. And the moment you stop pointing fingers and start taking responsibility, you take back control of your life. Most people love talking about ideas. They get excited, they plan, they imagine success, and for a moment it feels like they're already moving forward. But the truth is, ideas by themselves are worthless without action. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you don't execute, nothing changes. Action is the only thing that turns potential into reality. Excuses are the biggest enemy of action. They sound logical, they feel valid, and they give you a reason to delay. I don't have enough time. I need to learn more first. I'll start when things are perfect. These thoughts are comfortable, but they keep you stuck. The problem is not that people don't have ideas, it's that they don't act on them consistently. Action is uncomfortable. It forces you to face uncertainty, risk failure, and step outside your comfort zone. That's why so many people avoid it. They stay in the planning phase because it feels safe, but nothing grows in safety. Growth happens when you move, even when you're unsure, even when you're not fully ready. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for perfect conditions. They think they need more knowledge, more money, or more confidence before they start. But in reality, clarity comes from doing, not thinking. You learn more by taking one step than by thinking about 100 steps. Action teaches you what works and what doesn't. Without it, you stay in the same place, repeating the same thoughts with no progress. Execution also builds momentum. The first step is always the hardest, but once you start, it becomes easier to keep going. Small actions repeated daily create powerful habits. Over time, those habits shape your results. What feels small today becomes something massive in the future. Another important point is that action removes fear. Most fear exists in your mind before you start. You imagine worst-case scenarios, you overthink outcomes, and you build anxiety around something that hasn't even happened yet. But once you take action, that fear begins to shrink. You realize it's not as bad as you thought, and you become more confident with each step. It's also important to understand that action doesn't mean perfection. You will make mistakes. Things won't always go as planned, but mistakes are part of the process. They are lessons that guide you forward. People who succeed are not the ones who avoid failure, they are the ones who keep moving despite it. At the end of the day, excuses will always be there. There will always be reasons to wait, to delay, to avoid. But every time you choose action over excuses, you move one step closer to the life you want. And that difference, repeated over time, is what separates those who talk from those who actually achieve. Most people rely on motivation to get things done. They wait to feel inspired, excited, or energized before they take action. And when that feeling fades, so does their effort. That's why they start strong but don't last. The problem with motivation is that it's temporary. It comes and goes depending on your mood, your environment, or even how your day is going. If you depend on it, your progress will always be inconsistent. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't rely on feelings. It's built on discipline and commitment. It means showing up and doing the work whether you feel like it or not. Some days you'll be excited, but most days you won't, and that's normal. What separates people who succeed from those who don't is the ability to keep going even when the excitement is gone. Small actions may not feel important in the moment, but they are the foundation of long-term success. Doing a little bit every day might seem slow, but it creates momentum. Over time, those small efforts compound into something powerful. It's like building a habit. Once it becomes part of your routine, it requires less effort and becomes automatic. One of the biggest advantages of consistency is that it builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen your self-discipline. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, that confidence grows over time and makes it easier to tackle bigger challenges. On the other hand, when you rely only on motivation, you break that trust because you only act when you feel like it. Consistency also removes the pressure of being perfect. You don't have to do everything at once or achieve massive results immediately. You just need to show up regularly. Even on days when your effort is not at its best, it still counts. Progress is not about intensity, it's about repetition. What you do repeatedly shapes your outcomes far more than what you do occasionally. Another important part is that consistency helps you push through difficult phases. There will be times when you don't see results, when things feel slow, or when you feel like giving up. Motivation won't carry you through those moments. Discipline will. When you've built a habit of showing up every day, you continue moving forward even when progress feels invisible. It's also important to understand that consistency creates identity. When you act in a certain way every day, you start seeing yourself differently. If you consistently work, learn, and improve, you begin to see yourself as someone who is disciplined and focused. That identity reinforces your behavior, making it easier to stay on track. In the end, motivation might help you start, but it will never be enough to get you where you want to go. It's consistency that keeps you moving, keeps you growing, and ultimately leads you to real lasting results. Time is the one resource that every person has, yet it's also the one most people waste without realizing its true value. You can lose money and earn it back. You can fail and try again. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. That's what makes it your greatest asset. The way you use your time today is shaping the life you will live tomorrow. Most people think they have plenty of time. They delay their goals, thinking they'll start later, next week, next month, next year. But later is the biggest illusion. Days turn into months, and months turn into years faster than you expect. While you're waiting, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass, energy fades, and responsibilities increase. The cost of waiting is much higher than it seems. Understanding the value of time creates urgency. It makes you realize that every hour matters. This doesn't mean you need to rush everything or live in stress, but it does mean you need to be intentional. You start asking yourself better questions. Is this helping me grow? Is this worth my time? That awareness helps you eliminate distractions and focus on what truly matters. Another important part is how you spend your daily hours. Small decisions like how much time you spend on your phone, what you watch, or how you plan your day may seem insignificant. But over time, they add up. 1 hour wasted every day becomes hundreds of hours lost in a year. On the other hand, 1 hour invested daily in learning, building, or improving can completely change your future. Time also connects directly with consistency. When you use your time wisely every day, even in small amounts, you build momentum. You don't need huge blocks of time to make progress. What you need is focus and discipline in the time you already have. Many people complain about not having enough time, but the real issue is how they use the time they have. It's also important to recognize that the earlier you start, the greater the impact. Taking action today gives you an advantage that waiting never will. Even if you move slowly, you're still ahead of someone who hasn't started. Time rewards those who begin early and stay consistent. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to catch up. There's also a deeper truth. Time gives you the chance to grow into the person you want to become. Skills, confidence, and success all require time to develop. The sooner you invest your time in the right direction, the sooner you begin that transformation. Delaying that investment only delays your growth. At the same time, valuing time means respecting it, not just for work, but for your life as a whole. It means choosing meaningful actions over mindless habits. It means understanding that every moment is an opportunity to move forward or stay the same. The reality is simple. Your future is being built right now in how you spend your time today. At the end of the day, nothing changes until you do. Not your situation, not your results, not your life. You don't need more time or more motivation. You need one decision backed by action. Own your life, stay consistent, and respect your time, because every second you wait is a second you'll never get back. The life you want isn't far away. It's on the other side of the choice you're avoiding right now. Make it. Thank you.